All right, Lynette, thank you. Thank you for joining us. We're going to put this video on our blog. We're going to YouTube it, and what else are we going to do?
I don't know.
We're going to source some transformative possibilities. Okay, this is a coaching conversation. Now let's try this. That way I can look at you. This is a coaching conversation. Okay, so coaching exists inside of the context, right? Like if you go see a therapist, you have access to a type of coaching or therapy, right? In working with Coach Pete and transformational mind dynamics, we have a process. And you've graduated from the basic training, that's step one, in which we discover who we programmed ourselves to be. Now you have your program name. I imagine you're still present to it.
Yeah.
So in a moment, I'm going to ask you, who did you program yourself to be? And then what's the breakdown that you want to work on? And if you haven't established, of those of you who are watching this video, and you haven't established a program name, that's the first thing that we invite you to do. The program name is 3 adjectives and 1 noun. We'll hear from Lynette in a second. Okay, so let's do this. Share with us what you want to work on.
Okay.
And then share your program name.
Okay. So the thing that I want to work on is connecting with people, like putting myself at risk, being vulnerable, and creating connection with people.
Okay, so if you want to work on that, that means that you're not creating that.
Right.
Is that right? So you just spoke it in a way that it's positive.
Uh-huh.
Will you speak it in a way that you're asking for help in a problem area? And do you get the difference? Was that body language? Did I just notice a little?
Yeah.
So you're asking for help, right?
Right.
So asking for help's not easy.
It's not easy.
That might be like connecting.
Right. It's being vulnerable.
Ah!
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us your program name.
My program name is Worthless, Unlovable, Self-Righteous Ice Princess.
Okay, and then, so if that's who you program yourself to be, how do you then show up?
I show up as worthless, unlovable, self-righteous ice princess.
Okay. Is that the way you just showed up a moment ago in asking for help?
Yeah, I think
No.
No, I did not.
No. You showed up like you had it figured out.
Yeah.
You spoke to a problem from the positive standpoint. I'd like to work on connecting.
Yeah.
You with me?
So
So, wait, so in that, who are you?
I am somebody who, I don't know. I'm somebody who's figured it out.
Right.
And, yeah. I'm somebody who has the answer.
Aha! So that's kind of like this. Let's connect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that right?
That is absolutely 100% right.
Right. So we're already inside of the coaching conversation.
Yeah.
In the way you asked for help, you identified the real breakdown. So what I'd like to show you is how to use the program name as a vehicle to transform this area. And I already have the answer. You already have the answer, or the answer is already in this conversation. It's already in this video.
Okay.
Do you see it?
No.
Okay.
No.
So then we'll show it to you.
Great.
Yeah. I'll show it to you.
Okay.
Okay. When?
right now. How about
Okay.
right
Okay, so let's see. So we've got a half hour. The first thing I'd like you to look at is, in this moment right now, you don't see what you already generated. It's like a blindness. Is that right?
Right. Yeah.
Does this blindness correlate to you transforming your capacity to connect with people?
Yes.
Let's do it again. Does your blindness correlate to the possibility of transforming the issue you want to work on, which is connecting?
No.
Right.
Okay. I get it.
Why not?
Because it doesn't, I'm coming from a place of already having the answer, not being open to looking at what's the real issue. Right?
Sure, you could say that. Let's look at it a different way. You want to find a lost object. Got it?
Mhm. Yeah.
And you're blind. If it was right in front of you, would you see it?
No.
Aha! So
Right.
blindness does what?
Prevents you from seeing what's right in front of you. It prevents you from seeing.
From seeing what you want to create or seeing what you want to find.
Right.
Yeah. So what you're seeking for in this conversation is a capacity to connect. Yes.
Yes.
So if it was in front of you and you were blind, you wouldn't see it.
Right.
In this conversation, you're representing what? Blindness.
Being blind. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you see?
Yeah.
So this is the first thing you get to look at. Like, this could be the entire coaching conversation. Like, why are you choosing blindness? And you would say, well, I'm not, I don't know. I can't see it. I don't know. Yes?
Correct. Yes.
But notice that the blindness correlates to who you programmed yourself to be. Say it again.
Worthless, unlovable, self-righteous sized princess.
Right. So what's the correlation between blindness and that program name?
Is that the correlation is that I don't create space to connect, so I don't see it. I don't.
So you can't be anything other than that program.
Right.
Right. So if you can't create connection, then who are you?
Unlovable, worthless, unlovable.
Right. So blindness enables the program name.
Right.
Yeah. So what we're looking to do in this scenario right now is to create some self-awareness. That's how powerful self-awareness is. Simply by seeing, you set in motion a whole new realm of possibility.
Mm-hmm.
So the understanding of the program name, 3 adjectives and 1 noun, is designed to teach people how to distinguish the barrier, the programming, the mechanism that's keeping them from performing, creating their lives. For example, in this scenario, your programming is creating disconnection and then isn't allowing you to see that. Right?
Right.
Okay. So now you tell me what you're hearing. Say it back to me.
So what I'm hearing is that I create a barrier that doesn't allow me to connect with people. And
Yes, good.
I'm right about it.
And then you can't see it.
And I can't, but right, I can't, right. I can't see it when I make it to be about everybody. Well,
Yeah, say it.
I make it to be about everybody else. I can't see that I'm actually doing that.
Right. So therefore, nothing can change.
Right.
No matter who you bring into your life, it's still the same, which is no connection.
Right.
Because who's the person who creates connection or not?
Me.
Okay, great. So what do you want to do now?
Create connection.
Okay, well, who's it up to?
Up to me.
Then do that.
Yeah. It's like, but I don't, so then I don't know how, because all I can see is not creating is what I've already done, right?
Right. So it is, you're creating that you don't know how. So tell the truth about it. I'm creating it so that I don't know how, so that. So wait, hang on. Let's back up. What sets you free?
The truth.
Ah. So what we're looking for now is the truth about what?
The truth about why I don't create connection.
Right.
And the truth is that I'm afraid of getting hurt, or I'm afraid of being vulnerable. No, he says no.
That's not the truth.
I'm afraid of exposing myself. I'm afraid
No,
that.
no. Look, that's not the truth. That's the rationalization. That's the story. That's what the brain makes up to rationalize you being unavailable. That's the result of. The result of something is I'm afraid. Oh, I'm afraid. I better not. I use that feeling as a vehicle to disconnect.
So I'm afraid I'm not good enough.
I use I'm not good enough.
I feel like I'm back in the basic. Oh, like, I don't get it. Tell the truth.
Stay with me.
Yeah.
Did you see the blindness?
No.
Did you see a moment ago when I asked you, why do you disconnect from people, that you couldn't see it?
I couldn't see it. Right.
Is that right? Earlier in the conversation?
Yes.
So you got blindness, right?
Yep.
So now what we're looking for is, did you create the blindness?
Yes.
Are you sure?
My programming created the blindness.
Sure. And then the blindness enables the programming, yes?
Right.
Okay. So that's being accountable. I create blindness so that my programming can run the show.
Right.
That's an accountability statement, yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now tell me, why do you do it that way? I create blindness so that I can let my programming run the show.
I can let my programming run the show.
Good, so that
I don't have to tell the truth.
Sure.
So that I don't have to be vulnerable.
Sure. What does that mean, vulnerable? Vulnerable is a title. Give me the behavior of vulnerability. So if you were vulnerable, what would you be doing?
I would be sharing authentically. I would be
Sure. You'd be asking for help.
asking for help.
That's an example, right? Like in the session, the beginning of the session, it was difficult for you to ask for help, so you languaged it up in a way that was positive.
Right.
Like you had the answer.
Yep.
So an example of vulnerability, if we just look at what's occurred in the last 10 minutes, that's an example. Avoiding asking for help is an example of vulnerability, avoiding vulnerability. So it's a specific behavior. Yes?
Yes.
You get the difference in a specific behavior and vulnerability?
Yes.
Okay. So vulnerability is correct as a title, right?
Right.
Give me the list of the things that you avoid doing as a result of letting your programming dictate your behavior. So I avoid asking for help.
Reaching out to people.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Keep looking. Yeah, it's right there.
Connecting with people? Or
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Take the question out of that. Say it again.
Connecting with people.
Right. So connecting with people is what? Calling them on the phone, setting up a date,
Right.
Setting up a dinner date. Make it clear. Make it specific. Don't be vague.
All right. So connecting with, calling people on the phone and setting up
Right.
a time to talk,
Yes.
to share TMD, a time to.
Sure. Or invite them over to dinner or have a tea. Or,
Right. Right.
right. So this is the behavior you're avoiding.
Right.
It's that simple.
Yes.
So what do you choose?
I choose to take on the behavior that changes the programming.
Right. Now, this is what happens when you do that. Okay.
Yeah.
When you start to take those behaviors, you're going to notice a sense of what?
A sense of empowerment.
I don't think so. I think you're going to notice a sense of anxiety.
Yeah, a little nervousness, sweaty armpits.
Like right now.
Like right now, you know.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so then what's the sign that you're transforming your programming?
Is the anxiety.
Right.
Feeling that anxiety.
Right.
Yeah.
So now make the choice, make the commitment, track it.
Yeah.
Like that. Now you're on a behavioral path.
Right.
You've created yourself an opportunity to transform your programming. It's real, it's specific. It's not vague.
Right.
Okay, your turn. Tell me what you just got.
Well, you know, in order to transform any of my programming, it's all about changing the behavior. And I also got that sometimes I'm blinded because my programming wants me to hang on to its shit. And it's
Hang on to it shit is vague.
hang on to staying disconnected. Connecting with people is very scary for me.
For who?
For my programming.
So are you who you programmed yourself to be?
Well, no.
No. So then is it scary?
No.
Right. So who makes it scary?
My programming makes it scary.
And then you use your programming to rationalize your behavior.
Right.
So is connecting with people scary?
No.
Yeah, it's as scary as you make it.
Right.
Right? Connecting with people is connecting with people.
Right.
Yeah. So you get to choose. What do you choose? What do you design? Choose, design, right? Declare it, say it out loud, make the agreement with somebody who can hold you to that agreement, then go do it or not.
Yeah.
And you'll get confronted on it.
Right.
That's the game.
Yep.
What's it? It's goal, barrier, new behavior. The goal is connecting.
Yeah.
Barrier is I'm using my fears as a vehicle to avoid connecting. And then what's the new behavior? The new behavior will be what? I will this week contact. I will this week create.
Right.
Right? Okay, so let's just stop for a minute. Let's look at it. So you're participating in the development of the basic training in New Hampshire, which is when?
May 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Great. I'm sure that's in my calendar somewhere. And in that process, out of your commitment to creating that basic training, you're really coming up against this barrier, aren't you?
Yes.
Right. So your commitment to creating that basic gives you the opportunity to transform this programmatic mechanism that's keeping you from being connected to people.
Right.
Do you see so that's the value for the basic training, not if there's a basic training happening or not.
Right.
If the basic training occurs or not, you're still creating for yourself the opportunity to transform this mechanism. That's the game. That's the community. That's what makes this process so empowering for you and for people.
Mm-hmm.
So the question isn't, can you get committed to creating a basic? The question is, can you get committed to transforming your programming and creating a life that has connection?
Right.
Yes?
Yes.
Great. Then what agreements will we make this week? And let me tell you, Jeremy contacted me yesterday.
Yes.
Right. So you created that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So.
This game that we just laid out, people are going to watch this video. It's like, that's difficult for a lot of people to get, but that's the difference between, let's say, psychotherapy and the development of the community or the basic training. This environment over here becomes a behavioral practice field.
Yeah.
The breakthrough occurs in the game, right?
Right.
And then that becomes your life.
Yes.
Okay, so you tell me what you're hearing.
Well, so what I'm hearing is, what I'm getting and hearing is that change is about behavior. It's about creating a new behavior, and it's moving into that place of anxiety, fear, whatever it is, and doing whatever the challenge is, or I don't want to say challenge, but for me, it would be reaching out to people on the phone, even though I have anxiety about doing it, and creating a result from that.
Yeah, whatever the result is, there's no right result you're supposed to take. The result is the behavior. Did you do the behavior?
Making the call is the goal. Making the call. What happens after is,
That's another game.
That's it, right? Exactly.
That's a whole other conversation, which is valuable and powerful. And let's not negate this step, which is making the call.
Yeah.
And then after you make the call, and if you choose to come back, then we could look at who were you in making the call.
Mm-hmm.
That's another game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So get acknowledged, and that's a choice. You can choose to be acknowledged for making the call, making the step.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Okay. That's good. And how are you in this moment? Are you complete? Are you?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel good and inspired, and I get it.
Good, great. Okay, so then ideally what we do is make some agreements, make some commitments.
Yeah.
Right? And then who's going to hold you to those agreements? So you have your group, right? Your New Hampshire group. Use that group. That's your group.
Right. Yeah.
Use that resource. Get in front of the room, declare what you're committed to, and create the space for someone to hold you to that agreement.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key. Do you have that?
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else that you want to bring to this session that you want to share with people?
Not really. I mean, I don't have anything else.
Okay, good. All right, so
Good. Right now.
I acknowledge you for entering into the conversation, staying engaged, getting lost, staying with it, and getting through it. And then you'll have an opportunity to, take on those behaviors, take on those challenges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, next week or so, you can come back if you choose to, and you could share the result of what you've done and what it's been like for you.
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
We're ready to do that.
All right. Say goodbye.